What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. So I'd like to go over in detail a commission that I completed late last week on a Space Junk Sabers Rebel Princess variant. A little bit of a different chassis design in this one that I typically do because of the look, the overall aesthetic of the outside of this hilt. I wanted to do something a little bit more organic, something a little more classy for the chassis. So it's a classy chassis. So I wanted to do something a little different, right? But there are touches of some greeblies on this, and I did put a NeoPixel inside of the chassis as well, because why wouldn't I do that? So anyhow, again, this is from a hilt from Nevin at Space Junk Sabers. I'm not going to go over how much I appreciate one-off hilts. I feel like I do that in every video I do a one-off hilt for. But this is a little bit different, right? So I'm used to seeing a lot of Scrap Tech or Scrap Flex variants from Space Junk Sabers. I'm used to seeing a lot of Speeder variants, but I haven't seen anything like elegant like this before. And it's really, really beautiful hilt. It's a Leia Saber base, but there are some other really, really beautiful flourishes and brass accents on this. So I wanted to play off that in the chassis design, right? So, without further ado, let's get into Fusion, and then we'll do a demo, okay? So, here's the chassis that I did for this hilt. Okay, so again, we've got not a lot of greeblies, but I did do some embossed flourishes on the sides of the chassis, okay? I just wanted to keep it really, really organic. I didn't want to get like a lot of machinery greeblies on this guy. So I wanted to make it look a little classier, okay? This hole is where the NeoPixel ring sits, and I also created a lens that goes over the top of that, and that's in clear resin, okay? This is a CFX build, so the CFX does sit in this chamber. It does slide up underneath that lip a little bit. Plenty of room to pull out the SD card if need be. If you do need to get at your USB, you can flip the entire CFX up. I did put a very small dab of E6000 just to help secure that board in place. So just keep that in mind to the client. Around back, we do have a kill switch. Battery tray is here. And this is where the chassis marries up into the rest of the hilt. I have two indentations along this side. This is actually, there are two switches from Phil Guinness at Calminian Customs. So I did need to make room to slide the chassis past those switches. All right. At the bottom here, this is where our speaker sits. This is a 28mm bass speaker from Smuggler's Outpost. And that's it. Okay, nice, simple, static chassis. Again, just some like really light greebly work along both sides. I did forget to mention too. So this channel, there are two channels on each side of the chassis. You'll notice when we do an up close that there's the Leia hilt has pearl inlays in the grip. So I wanted to play off that. In these two channels, I've got some abalone. Some very, very beautiful blue abalone along each side. This is the first time I've used an application like this on a chassis, and I'm really, really happy with the result, right? Why don't we take a look at that now? Let's come up top. So here's the hilt, okay? Super, super elegant hilt. You'll immediately notice that this is a grip from Leia's hilt. And here's those pearl inlays along the channels in that grip. I do recognize some of these parts. This is from a Canon Y. This is like a flash bulb shroud adjustment mount. I don't know where these brass flourishes come from, but they look perfect on this hilt. This shroud, again, not sure where that comes from, but again, it's just a really, really elegant hilt. We've got some shine through. This is actually an upside down Graflex piece. I just noticed that. There's shine through in these two holes as well when the blade is in, which I really appreciate. Okay, so let's get a look at this chassis. To get at your chassis, you want to unscrew the grip. Here's the chassis. So I did a pass of bronze rub and buff on this. Here are those abalone strips. I'm super happy with how these came out. Like really, that the blue on bronze looks really, really cool in my opinion, okay? There is a set screw around back that holds this chassis in place. And that's it, right? Here's our CFX board. Here's that NeoPixel ring. It's underneath a lens. Battery tray is here, right? So let's get a battery in this guy. Okay, so spring side is your negative. You want to slide your battery in the battery tray, hit your kill switch. And there's that NeoPixel ring. There we go. Whoops. So, once you get your battery in, slide your grip on. Tighten that until it stops, and you're ready to go. So let's come down to the bottom here. Great sounding hilt, too. It sounds really good. All right, so let's get a blade in this guy. Nevin did provide a custom blade plug with this hilt, which I do appreciate. That is held in place with this knurled thumb screw up here. This is also your blade retention, right? Really, really handy. So let's get a blade in this. All right, so slide your blade down into your PCB. Tighten your set screw or your thumb screw, and you're ready to go, right? So I've set this up with a couple different fonts.
Sound bank selection.
The NASA team is ready. This party's over.
Different fonts. Most of them are just the stock CFX fonts. There's some extras on there. Let's do one more.
Sound bank selection.
Mercenary.
I gotta edit the swing on that. That's the one thing I don't understand about CFX. You've just, I mean, why would you not want your swings to start immediately? I never understood that. So that needs to be edited on that font. There we go. There's a loop font. So that's it. Great hilt. I really wanted to do something elegant with this chassis because of the way that the outside of the hilt looks, right? So, to the client, thank you very much for trusting me with your build and for your patience. If anyone has any questions about this particular hilt or the chassis, please don't be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you, always. Thanks for watching, everybody.